So if you're anything like I used to be, your product is your everything. The first product that I developed in the men's dating market for the Social Man brand was called Unbreakable. And it was, gosh, I probably spent 6 months working on that damn thing. Just really sussing out like all the nuances of what I wanted to teach, how I wanted to teach it. But it was, and it did okay. It sold well, and it's an incredible course. We still sell it to this day, and many guys tell us it's their favorite course. That said, it didn't have one and only one specific promise. My idea was to make it into this kind of like holy grail of social interactions where I teach people like kind of how to perceive themselves in the world, and then how to do some self-development, and then how to transition from that into like actually talking to women and being naturally confident and expressing themselves in the right way. And I even included some techniques in there. So it was this like really wide-ranging course that did not have one specific idea. And not surprisingly, it was difficult to sell at first. And now we've since revised that. We call it the Unbreakable operating system, and the way it's positioned is as an operating system for men, a way to think and live that is going to enhance your life and make you much more attractive to women, but ultimately much happier for yourself. So if you are like I was back then chances are you have a product or multiple products, or you're thinking about developing a product, and you're coming at it from the product first perspective of this is what I want to teach and this is what I want to share, and not so much from the promise first perspective of what does my market want. So let's repeat something that we said earlier. People don't want to buy what you want to sell them, they want to buy what they want to buy. So that's why we always have to start with the promise. Now, the promise is the core of it all, and the products and the offers and the funnels, which is what we're going to talk about next, are how that promise gets expressed in the world and in the marketplace. So products and offers and funnels, they're a key part of the strategy here. This is not a course about how to build funnels, but we are going to talk a little bit about them. Now, if you're just a copywriter, if you're purchasing this perhaps as a writer, or as a freelance writer who wants to become a copywriter, or as a copywriter who's looking for some tips to try to improve, then you may have limited influence over the product and the offer and the funnel. Hopefully you do have some influence over the offer and the funnel. But if you're a business owner, or you want to be more than a copywriter, then you need to learn the shit out of this stuff. This is really important material. Because the interesting thing is that like it's always changing. So like the promise you make and copywriting principles are going to be eternal. A lot of what we're teaching here in the Money Button, this will work this year, next year, 10 years, unless there's some fundamental re-architecture of human psychology. What we're teaching here is going to work for a long time to come. But offers, products, and funnels are always changing. At the time I write this, it's very interesting. For a long time, we've had front-end products selling for $67, and people just snap them up like crazy, and they were purchasing those off of long video sales letters. I think there's been quite a bit of offer burnout in the market, and so people are now moving to purchasing physical books in what we call free plus shipping offers, where it's free but you pay for shipping, and then you get a book sent to you, and then there's additional stuff in the funnel. So the point is that the expression of the copy and the promise and all the Money Button mechanics are, that's always going to change, but what we're talking about is for the most part eternal as it gets. But let's talk about the product, and we'll do a quick section about the product, then we'll jump into the offer, and then we'll talk about funnels. The product is the stuff that you get. So if from now on, whenever anybody asks you, hey, when I buy your product, what do I get? I want you to tell them the outcome. You get a girlfriend. You get amazing wedding memories. You get to feel sexy, right? That's the promise. When somebody says, what do you get? You get the promise. But in real terms, when they say, hey, so okay, how do you deliver that to me? Now you say, okay, well, I'm going to sell you some ebooks or some DVDs or a much lighter weight camera without a mirror in it, in the case of Fuji. So yeah, those are some examples. Online training, a DVD, a subscription, maybe pills or a nasal spray or a balm or a rub, or in the case of the iPhone, a little device that fits in your pocket. Now, ideally, products are driven by market demand and testing your ideas. So what often happens is that you'll come up with an initial product. You'll have some outcomes and big promises and big ideas associated with it. You'll put it out there in the world, and you'll actually test the copy before you go back in, and then you'll revise it to do the final product. I've not built a whole lot of physical products. I have had a Jello shot company that didn't go too far. So I understand that if you have a physical product, you're going to be a little bit more constrained than if you have an information product. You have production costs, inventory costs, all that. But ideally, you can test out your ideas before you really sink a whole bunch of money into product development. And I do want to mention that if you're developing digital products, there are two great resources that I could refer you to. One of them is anything that Evan Pagan teaches. He's also known as David D'Angelo. He's sort of the 800-pound gorilla of teaching people how to create digital products. So he's got a really good course. And then some friends of mine, they have a course called Jump Cut Academy. And at the time of writing this, I've seen it. It's really high production value, really cool stuff, and I can definitely recommend their stuff. So what are some examples of products? The girlfriend activation system. We're going to keep coming back to that one. So that one is a whole bunch of online training videos. I think it's maybe 23 videos. Along with audio downloads of that. There's slides and transcriptions of the course, and then I think there are some bonuses that we include with this. Same deal with Lust. Now, what's interesting, in times past, I remember that people used to sell, you could get the video, or you could get the audio, or you could get both. And what I'm seeing with these free plus shipping offers is you can get the physical book, and you can add the digital book, but some people don't even want to take the digital book. They just want the physical book, which is, it's free. There's no extra cost associated with the digital book, but it just goes to show you that your product can come in multiple iterations, and it may have to sort of shift and weave with the market. At the time we record this, we're trying to figure out what to do with Girlfriend. We're thinking, maybe we should turn it into a physical book, or maybe we should turn it into some other form of teaching. So another example, this is one that we've been looking into in our business, is developing a nootropic. Nootropics are, a class of, you wouldn't call them a drug, you would call them, it's essentially a pill or powders or things that you take that enhance your neural functioning activity. Years ago, I got into nootropics. I was taking GABA and paracetam, and I can't remember all the others. But it's sort of broken out from it's this niche little bit of stuff that these biohackers do to a little bit more mainstream now. And so when we started off with the nootropic, which we haven't developed yet, we've been working on a lot of things, including this. But when we started off with the nootropic, the first question we asked ourselves were, okay, what kind of claims can we make? What do we want to be able to say that this thing is going to be able to do? What promises do we want to deliver? Do we want to say it's going to give you sharper mental functioning, it's going to reduce your anxiety, it's going to do this, that, the other? So absolutely started with what kind of claims can we make? And then we looked in the market and we said, well, what's popular, what's selling? So we looked at, Onnit, Alpha Brain. We looked at a number of others that aren't really popping to mind right now. And that helped us figure out, okay, well, what does the market actually want? Are people responding to this or that? Is there is there one promise that we see in all of these pieces of copy? Or is there one promise that, if we look at Alpha Brain, for example, that they keep hammering home? So those are questions that we would ask ourselves, and this is one that we'll be talking about quite a bit, is what doesn't the market yet know that it wants? In the case of Girlfriend, the market wanted a product on how to get a girlfriend, but it didn't exist. All that existed were get laid products. In the case of Lust, nobody was really targeting frustrated married men or men in relationships, and so a relationship product that could actually help a guy from a guy's perspective, not just like, hey, things will be nice between the two of you, but really hey, we're going to tap in and give men what they want, which is power and control. Nobody had developed that before. Some of the nootropic stuff that we're looking at right now, we're looking for what are problems that people have that we can address that other people have not addressed in this market yet. So we know that there's a market for people who want to take mental enhancement supplements, but we have yet to say, hey, this is exactly the fit between the market itself and the promise that we want to make. And that will lead to the product development itself. Another good example from this is this company, Very, that I'm invested in. So at the time I write this, or that we're recording this, Very's made a couple of really interesting transitions. So they started off as a company, they had an app called Memoir. Memoir was, if you've used Time Hop or if you've seen Facebook's playback of memories to you, that's essentially what Memoir did. So they sucked in all your memories from Instagram and Facebook and your photo roll. And then I would open the app today and I would see, hey, here's what happened a year ago today, 2 years ago today, 5 years ago today. So they were trying to reimagine the way that we experience photography. Time Hop caught on a little bit more quickly, and then Facebook just built the feature and they said, you know what, fuck this, we're not going to do this anymore. So then they iterated again and they said, well, let's try something new. They created an app called Flamingo. It was sort of Snapchat for pictures, I guess you could say, but not quite. It was like Snapchat meets Instagram for pictures. Didn't really work out, but they found that people were using it at weddings. So they iterated again and they said, okay, like, let's just make this a wedding app. And now they're having a lot of success with that. Even if you go back into corporate history, Nintendo, I believe they used to make pinball machines before they made the Nintendo Entertainment System. So you should never be afraid to, walk away from your product, migrate your product in a new direction, tweak it, change it, adjust it to what the market wants. Again, the market doesn't want what you want to sell them. The market wants what it wants to buy. And if you can't test, if you don't have the opportunity to do this because you have a whole lot of inventory costs, and I really hope that you're making something useful or you are reinventing a market that's ripe for disruption. And frankly, I've never personally done that before. I've gone into markets where I know that there is a need, where I know they need some painkillers, and figured out how to present new concepts to them and sell them and bring some really big promises their way. So that's really the scope of what we're doing here. If you're trying to disrupt a market, then I wish you all the best, and I hope that you'll contact me and tell me how you did it, and I hope that the money button helps you in presenting your idea. That would make me so excited. I had a software company many years ago. I had no idea how to communicate what the fuck we did, and nobody else did either, and it was only by the grace of God that we got purchased. So I hope that one of you or many of you are in the mood to disrupt some markets and that you'll come back to me and tell me how that worked. But let's just recap some of what we talked about in products real quick. The products are the delivery mechanism for the promise. They're the way that you get what you get. Hopefully you have some time to iterate around them, to adjust them based on what the market wants. If it's an information product, that's an easy solve. You just have to add a bonus or re-record it. It's a physical product, then that might require tweaking it, making version 2 or version 3. But in any case, you're always reacting to what the market wants, and ultimately you're reacting to the promises that you're making that people are responding to. So that's products. Next up, we are going to jump into offers.